Well, welcome everybody to the podcast of this week. Nick is not here, but we do have a very special guest with us, Thomas Ugutu, who brought the word for us this morning in worship, shared about his ministry in Kenya. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, ready to get started?
Yes.
Let's go. So, Thomas, welcome back. You've actually been on the podcast before. You've have a great ministry and do a lot of work in Kenya, and so we want to hear from you again this year about what's happening over there. You brought us a word in worship, and also I had the opportunity to have dinner with you last night and your lovely wife, Marib, and got to visit and hear about some of the things you're doing. So I'm excited to share that with our listeners this week. So if you could just, for those who maybe don't know you, if you could just tell in general about your ministry there, just a few of the things, maybe an overview of what you're focused on.
Thank you so much, Pastor. And as you've been told, my name is Thomas Ugutu. I'm the founder of a foundation called Nyogaya Foundation, which works with widows and orphans in Kenya. We have been there for the last 13 years right now. And somebody may say, why widows and orphans? Of course, we realize that widows have a big problems that they go through because in most cases because of cultural practices that goes with all their frustrations. But Nyogaya Foundation identified that area through the book of James 1:27 that made me and my wife feel drawn to take up the mantle and see ways we could help these widows and orphans.
Right, and I heard this morning, I don't know if I knew this story before, that actually your foundation is named after your mother, and you've really kind of taken the mantle from her because she was already doing this, right?
So my mother did this for quite many years. Even from when I was young, I could see her helping, widows, and they could be coming to her, and I was wondering what they were doing then, but I didn't know what that it meant, apart from just seeing them coming for counseling, and sometimes they were coming for food. My mother is a good farmer, and therefore could give them, maybe corn, beans, and all the time they are just around her. And this I didn't realize until very late when I gave up my life to Christ, that is after school. And asking about it, then he told me, if you want to serve God, then serve God by helping widows and orphans.
Right. It does seem to be a command in Scripture that's there a lot. You quoted from James, but all throughout the Old Testament, there was lots of taking care of the widows and orphans and all that kind of stuff. And I've actually heard that as like shalom, which we translate roughly to be peace.
Yes.
But really, part of that was like, do the widows and orphans feel safe in your community? That is shalom and peace. And you mentioned there was a cultural problem. There's a cultural problem back then for, I think, some of the same reasons that you stated in worship. But, we have more, I guess, equality and rights and empowerment of women. We've got a long way to go, but we've come a long way here. But that's not the case there culturally, right?
No, that is not the case, in our place. And it's worse when now you see them going without, food, which is the, basic necessity of life. And when you see their kids not being able to even attend school, but if you investigate what could be the problem lies in the culture, which, again, I would say that as a man, you are only, that family is only still strong because the man is still there. But as soon as that man is not there, then the in-laws or the community can do anything with your family.
Yeah. You share with me one specific case, and I'm sure there's probably others you could share too, but one specific case of a woman that you work with who whose husband died, and her brother-in-law sold her property, although she still had the deed. Tell that story if you would.
Yeah, this is a common thing. And, in our culture, women would rather not wish to their husband to die, because when they die, you'd see them crying. They may be crying not necessarily because of the husband is gone, but they know the consequences that comes with it. So, yeah, we have a woman that the husband died, and as soon as this was over, they demanded that he do things to do with rituals that goes with it, and so if you refuse, then that even is calls for serious consequences, whereby now they really get abused. They can even rape you. They can even it's like you are an outcast, and so they came and took away all her property. And one thing that is also very serious, as this one is happening, the government is not protecting these women, but they feel that is cultural. So because those who are in the government are also part of the culture. So this becomes now again very difficult, and they had to take away the land, and this land was being sold by the in-laws, without this lady, knowing even what was going on. But again, I would say that later they were not able to sell land, because this lady, he went to the group that we already take care of, and he was able to share her story in these groups, and the group came up and said no. So that clearly shows the power of unity, because the moment now we brought them together, they are fighting as a team. And even us as a foundation, we are able to now tell the government this is not right. And
what is the law? Is there a law that protects them even though the government's not enforcing them, or is this a law that needs to be changed?
the law is there,
Yeah.
but they are not. The law is only good when it is implemented.
Right.
Because everybody have a right to property, and you can, nobody should take it away from you. But the law is very like, there are even widow, some of the laws that, I would say, many organizations have been able to encourage our members of parliament to make it effective and all this. But when it comes to widow laws that goes with widow rights, they don't pass them easily. It's like they are there, but they are weak.
Right.
They are weak, and also the implementation on the ground. There's somebody that need to implement this.
Yeah.
But they don't implement them, thinking that one will be, every time there is a challenge like that, then they tell you, go and sit down with elders, to see best ways. Like, for example, if a widow has been raped, rape is, it's an offense that is punishable by law. But you find, the government or the court may say, can you go and, solve it in a family manner, whereby the elders will decide what to do. And in most cases, they just say, we are very sorry. Maybe we may, that is a shame if you share this with other people. Or yeah.
So there's no punishment for the crime.
There's no punishment.
Yeah.
They just go scot-free. So this makes this widow continue suffering. That's all these are happening. now the children even now suffer more, because you can imagine the woman is the only one remaining, and if he's not stable, it means these kids cannot get much from anybody.
Right, and so the whole cycle of poverty and the hopelessness of it all.
Yeah.
But one thing that I was really encouraged by is the community that you're building there, and we might see a little bit more in that in a second. But there is the unity of them being together has been very empowering. And for example, in the case of this widow, who legally that was her property. And because of the community, she was able to lean on that, even though the government wasn't protecting her. Because of this community and the unity, they were able to save her property.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot, and they would, out of that unity that they now have, as I mentioned to you earlier, that we started with only one group. And this one group, they have grown to 31 different groups with membership of 1,500, members, meeting in different locations. The demand for even these groups are still more and more because of what others are seeing happening in these groups that has been able to be created, because fighting alone is very difficult.
Yeah.
So again, as a foundation, we really campaign, against, widow, I would say, frustrations that we get to see happening in their life every day. So we go to the government offices, talk about it, tell those who are in charge that this is not right, this should not happen, and
it's not just.
Yeah. And sometimes these things also happen because there could be a problem. Somebody, or a widow, may have been molested or sexually harassed, things like that, or beaten. But because this is only discussed amongst the immediate family members, and then they want to cool things without this thing going beyond there. But now, if it happens in any of these, members of these groups, they bring this, to the group, and the group is able to share with us, and we are able to take it up with the authorities. And you may find now such a person will be arrested and taken to court. And this now makes the money. Many people say, "Hey, these people, don't play with them because." Yeah. They are stronger, and they can even get support. Because for you to go to court, they were feeling like it's expensive, because a lawyer, you'll need to pay for you to. But these are things now we try to help them do we have a lawyer, foundation lawyer, that is there just to represent them in case of any case that may happen.
So, yeah, and so for people listening today, they may not be aware of sort of the disproportionate to, at least what our society is here, amount of widows that are in Kenya. And you had mentioned some statistics from the UN this morning about how many there are worldwide, and there is a disproportionate amount in Kenya. And so what are some of the reasons for that? Why there's so many widows there in Kenya?
Yeah, yes. As I said earlier, that we have almost 8 million widows in Kenya, according to the UN report of 2017. Mainly, one of the things that has made us to have so many widows is quite a number of men died out of HIV/AIDS, which epidemic, which was really, I would say, killed quite a number of people in the late 90s or into early 2000. And so it's said that men die faster than women. One, it could be because of the stigma that comes with it. They don't come out openly to share their problem or whatever they have. And also AIDS, HIV, people took, or our culture our communities took it as like a taboo. It is not a disease, you see. So every time somebody could catch AIDS, then you are told you must have done something that made you now to be, the spirits are not happy with you. So this happened for a long time. So, and not knowing that this was a disease, and they really needed to now go to the roots of what is happening. So if a husband die, it means the possibility that the woman is also having HIV is very high. But because of now they were being forced to remarry. You see, it is like, it is automatic. If you lose a husband, then after a few months they tell you, you now need to remarry one of your in-laws. So meanwhile, she's married to the in-law home. This in-law is already having another wife, probably even two, because as you know, polygamy is common and it's still practiced. You find somebody with 4 women. So you can imagine somebody that a husband died and is told to remarry to the in-law, and the in-law also have got other 4 wives, and now this woman is bringing HIV into this family. You know, because you sleep with this man, and then he ends up now giving the rest of these women, you know, HIV, and so the disease keeps on killing, you know, people.
Right, but that person, would they be kind of shunned because her husband died of AIDS in that family unit?
Would be what? Sorry.
Well, yeah, her husband has died of AIDS, and with the knowledge of that, I just wonder her acceptance into that larger family unit, putting polygamy aside for a second, what the response might be. Like if my husband suddenly has another wife that has husband's died of AIDS, I don't want to have much to do with her. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It like at that time, let's say in the late 90s, when many people died, they were still not considering, or they didn't know how AIDS even spread, but they took AIDS as just, you know, a taboo that is happening to somebody's life because you must have, you know, offended the spirits of the community. That is why something like that is happening. Yeah. But the woman may still be strong. The people did not know that this is something that when it kills a husband, or how it was spreading, people did not understand. So
is there, we talked a little bit about this last night, but is there more education about that? I know there's medicines now, but are you seeing a difference since that has happened?
Yeah, things have changed. Things have changed compared to how it was, because we have quite a number of organizations that pressure groups that came up, and also the government started, because it was a pandemic. People were dying, like,
right,
you know.
Yeah. Well, we were at least aware of the numbers.
Yes.
Over here.
Yeah, the numbers were huge. So we had those organizations that really were fighting and saying, this is a disease, please, you know, stop doing this, stop remarrying, you know, women that their husbands have died out of HIV, give them time. We know culture speaks about this, but you see, you will also keep on killing others. So and then another thing is the medicine also, you know, came in, that people were now being told, please, you may realize that you have it, but start, you know, taking your medicine. And truly medicine has helped, because some of them have stayed for over 30 years. Yeah. They are there still. So those are what at least made HIV to go, you know, down. And of course, you could find somebody who die after some times, but they take longer compared to how it was. But still, men were dying because they did not want to be seen even going to the hospital to collect medicine. they could still that stigma of people will laugh at me, people will look at me like maybe I am how did I get this?
Yeah.
Because they were saying AIDS can only be gotten by people who are maybe or maybe people who are not faithful to their families. So men really shied away from doing the programs, how the women accepted and they were open and they were ready. And they said, we want to get help. So they still kept on dying. For some times, the numbers were still, big. So HIV has gone down, but again, still we are seeing the number of men dying compared to women is still
Yeah,
big difference.
you mentioned some sort of systemic health problems that are outside of HIV that are there. That's,
Yeah,
causing
the things that also we've discovered that again we go back to culture whereby man is supposed to do. There's a lot of responsibilities that goes with a man, and in the midst of poverty, and you're required to, let's say, you are the one responsible for feeding the family, you build the house. In fact, if a woman is found building the house, it's like, again, they tell you that is not right. Something will happen to you. So man is required to do so much. Children education, you're the one who's supposed to do. And the women are supposed to sit back at home and just do the cooking, maybe washing of clothes, things like that. So we've realized that mental problems, quite a number of men now have got mental problems that make them develop also diseases to go with pressure, diabetes. Those are very common. Yeah, so even if it may not be HIV, but the responsibilities that goes with that. So there's too much pride also that comes with it. That also, as a man, you have to be strong. You don't need to share your problems with people, things like that. So, and this really makes these men, they don't know that they're killing themselves. They don't know they're just like any other human being.
Yeah.
And they need to help if there is. Because it could have been a family or a big family, but this big family, kids have nothing to eat. He is not working. He has nothing to, take care of them. And so he feels like the world is, ending.
Yeah. So you've got 1,500 widows that you are working with 30-something groups. And the empowerment that you are giving to this women is really changing and transforming your community.
Yes.
Not just their lives, but the community. And I thank you for that. And we'll pray for you and continue to pray for the work that you're doing there. We're getting close to end now, but I do want to say a word because you also have a school for orphans. We have a number of church members who sponsor kids there. I think a few more signed up this morning. So just say a quick word about the school and the kids that are there.
Yeah. As when we started now, trying to see how we could take even one child per family to school, we were targeting high school only when we started all this. But then with time, we also realized the kids that we are sponsoring to high school had challenges that we came to realize was as a result of the foundation. The foundation was not right. Kid, growing up in all these challenges we are talking about. So a lot of frustration. But by the time now he's even joining high school, still these things could be affecting him or her. And so we said, why don't we come up with an institution, a school, whereby we can see these kids grow. Maybe from grade 3, we try to bring them into the school, in this school, where we started, called the Dominion Model School. we bring them here because we have to do assessment first of these kids and see which one qualifies. So we take them to this school and we monitor now the life of this child, trying to even to identify. Some of them have got very good talents that we nurture, and also trying to, bring them, holistically, teaching them the Word of God, and this child will grow up knowing, that he's also recognized, he's also important, just like any other child. So this has really helped, and we have seen when we started this program, our school became for 3 years. We became number one in our county in national exams. It means we were doing something right.
Right.
And that's really encouraged us that we went into doing something which is very important. So if orphans are able to be number one, that we, in the whole county, it means. So Dominion Model School, that's why we call it model school. We wanted to be the leading in many ways, bringing up a whole child, ready, psychologically, physically, spiritually strong. This has really, I would say, gone along, and currently we have 95 at our Dominion School, and we have already identified 31 that seriously needs sponsorship, so that we can also take these ones to the school and be able to receive what others are able to receive.
And also, when we talked about the houses that y'all build in the service, and so I just instruct you guys to, if you don't know about the houses that they're building, they can build a house for $1,500 for the widows there. It's a wonderful thing. We're going to do that as a project. But one thing, in just a little time that we got left, you were mentioning last night about some other programs, not school for like the children, but like you're doing some training with some of the widows around becoming a hair and sewing and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Share a little about that.
We, as I mentioned, one of a major problem that is bringing all this after all these frustrations.
And then there's the farming. We could talk all day, but we'll go ahead. Yeah.
One of some frustration that these widows have is the issue of poverty. So economic empowerment was necessary. So as a foundation, we have identified what we can do with them. One of them is farming, which could do well. So we look for resources and we put up greenhouses. And we have employed an agronomist that's work with these women. So they go to this place, we bought land and they're doing farming. And this has been duplicated in other groups. Yeah. So we have also identified what we call savings and loaning. Savings and loaning, whereby there are some of them that do small-scale business in small markets around. So they come together, they collect this money, they do table banking, which they buy shares. They say by every time they meet, there is a share being bought. So one share could be, let's say, $50 or $1. But this has really transformed their lives, and we see that as a big thing to these women. And this program we are doing with all of them. And so 2 years ago, we also introduced what we call revolving fund. A revolving fund is a pool where we can now lend money to a group based on their performance, because they could be a very active group that is doing well, but they don't have enough money to borrow. So we take like $500 into such a group. They borrow that money, but these members bring it back with an interest. This interest belongs to that group, and therefore they keep on growing. They work hard, bring back that money, with the interest, and this interest is their money.
Mm-hmm.
So it keeps on growing and growing and growing. So we have also some young widows that we realize that they are very potential, and they can be able to be trained to do things like tailoring. So we've built a tailoring school whereby we train them how to do dressmaking. And when they are graduating, our first graduation happened last year. And when they're graduating, we give them machines, sewing machines, so that they can go and start their own businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Some have now, this year we introduced the salon. There are some that would like to be salonists. Yeah, they can make people's hair and get money out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So probably by next year, they'll also be graduating.
Mm-hmm.
So these are programs that we run to help them, be empowered economically.
Well, it's just amazing the work that you're doing, and thank you for sharing. Thank you for agreeing to stay after and do the podcast with me. I know people will find this interesting, and we just will continue to pray for you. And
Thank you.
I couldn't be prouder that one of our ministry partners, and here at Hickory Flat, and so we will continue to be in touch and pray for you. And
Thank you.
And Godspeed for you guys as you continue to visit churches while you're over here in the States. So
Thank you. Thank you.
God bless. Thank you, everybody,
Okay.
for listening. We will, if you need some more information about Thomas, just drop it in the comments or call me at the church or whatever. We'll get you connected with him. But thanks, and Nick will be back next week, and we'll continue on with the podcast. So God bless everybody, and see you next time.